Hi, this is Pavel with a Visual Basic exercise. This is from the book Introduction to Programming with Visual Basic 2012, and this is chapter 8 and Programming Project 2 from that book. And we are going to work with some external text files and doing a lot of Linq to get some data from those files. Anyway, we are provided files. We are provided file Senate112.txt, which contains the members of the 112th Senate before the 2012 election. We are provided a file called RetiredSen, or just Sen.txt, which contains members who left Senate after 2012 election. And we have a file NewSen, which basically contains the newly elected senators in the 2012 election. And we have 4 things to do. 1, write a program that uses these 3 files and create new file, Senate 113. So in other words, we will take the 112th Senate file, remove all the senators that are retired or left after the election, and add those who were elected. Second point, we will write a program that determines the number of senators for each party affiliation, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, or Independent. Now the file contains the name and the party affiliation, so we will have to extract that information from the file. And we will write a program that determines the number of states whose 2 senators have the same party affiliation. If you're not familiar with the US political system, each state has 2 senators, and obviously they can be from 2 different parties or 3 different parties if you count independents, or they can be from the same party, and that's what we are going to find out, how many states have both senators from the same party. And we will write a program that asks the user to select a state from a list box and then display the 2 senators from each state. Alright, so let's get coding. Now I have the text files over in my debug folder. And here are the text files. These are the new senators that were elected, that will join the Senate. This is the file with the senators who are leaving the Senate, and this is the file with all the senators from the 112th Senate. Alright, so let's do the and this is my form with the list this is for the number 4, where we will write a program that asks the user to select the state from a list box and then displays the 2 senators from each state. So this is the list box where the states will be, and when we click any of the states in this box, the 2 senators for that state will be shown. Okay, so the first thing, we have 3 files. We need to read them, and we need to store the the information from those files, and we can do that on the form load. That's probably the easiest way. So we will do a few queries. The first one will be, I'll call it the original Senate. This is the 112th Senate, and this will give me all the names from that file, from that Senate. So from, I'll call it senator in io.file.read all lines, and the file is called Senate112.txt. So it's gonna be Senate112.txt. So this will read the file, and we will select the senator. So this will give us 1 by 1 each name from this file. It will give us all these names. It will give us not just the names, it will give us the state they're from, and the party affiliation. R for Republicans, D for Democrats, and I, it would be from for Independent. So this is the, I'll just call it the names of 112 Senate. Now we need to get the other two files. We need to get the retired senators, so let's just do that. Get retired senators, and it's gonna be the same way. I'll just call this one retired Senate, and this is gonna be from another, we can call it senator, in input output dot file, and read all lines. And this file is called RetiredSen.txt. So retired sen.txt, and again we will select senator. Let me just make sure I didn't misspell it. Retired senator txt. Okay, I'll misspell that. All right, so we have the original Senate, we have the retired Senate. Now let's get the new senators. Get new senators, and that's gonna be new Senate, and it equals from senator in input output. Same way, file, we will read the file, read all lines, and this one is called NewSen, S-E-N, new sen.txt, and select senator. So now we have all the files read, all the information from the files read. Now we can start manipulating them. Now we need to create 113 Senate by removing the retired senators from our original Senate and adding our new Senate to our original Senate, and then that will create a brand new query that will kind of combine all this information into a 113 Senate. So we can do something like create, except it's a comment, create 113th Senate. All right, so, and this I'll call the new Senate from senator in the original Senate. That's the 112th Senate, except the retired Senate. In other words, except do not include the retired the lines for the from the retired Senate file or query, except, and this one is the retired Senate, and on top of that we have to add the new Senate, and to add we will simply do the concat the new Senate, and this is the query that will create our 113th Senate. So new Senate is already declared. Let me just call this new senator, because these are just in fact these should be all probably called senators, not a Senate, senator, because these are the senators and this is the whole Senate, like all of those people in it. So let's just make this the original, sorry about that, senator, original senator, retired senator, and new senator. Okay, so we are reading all three files, each into a separate query, and then we are creating another query from the main file, which is the original 112 Senate. We are excluding the retired senators and adding the new senators to this query, and that will give us the 113th Senate. And okay, so that's that. Now we are supposed to write a program that uses three files to create a new file. So now we have to actually write this into a file, into a text file. So and you know, that is very simple. Write the new file. Simply input output file that write all lines, and the file we can call Senet113.txt, and we are reading the new Senet query to do that. So if I run it now, if you see now, I have the 3 files that we are reading from, and now after I run this, there should be a 4th file called Senet113.txt that should include all the names of the 113 Senet. Now let me see if this is, if I refresh this. Oh, come on, debug, and here it is, 113 Senet. And if I run it now and I open that, these are the files that include all the names from the 112 Senet except the retired senators and adding the new senators to it. So that works fine. So that's the that's our first bullet point that we just did. So let's do the second one. Write a program that determines the number of senators for each party affiliation. Now if I open this one now, this is what we are going to be working with, the 113 Senet. You can see that these are the party affiliation at the end. First is the name, first and last name, but it's combined into just one name. Then the state the senator represents, and then the party affiliation. That's how the file is formatted. So that's what we have to keep in mind when we are reading it. So let's do the I'm still, I think, running it. Okay. So let's do the determine number of senators for each party affiliation. Right, that's what it is. Right, a program that determines number of senators for each party affiliation. So basically, how many Democrats, Republicans, and Independents there are in this Senate. So we will do a query. I'll just name it query this time. You can name it whatever you want. I'll just name it that. Again, we are getting senator in, and we are getting it from the new Senate. We could read the file if we wanted to, but we can simply use the query that we created over here, because that basically is the same as the file. So I'm going to just do that. And we are creating the party variable, so let party as string, not stack, string equal, and now we are going to split each line separated by comma. So we are going to do a senator dot split, again separated by comma, and the one we are interested in is in position 2. If you look at the file, the name is position 1 before of the split, or the element 1 or index 1, state is index 2, and party is index 3, which basically is 0, 1, and 2. All right, so that's why we are interested in the second, or index number 2, which is the third information in the file or in each line, which is the party affiliation. So this will give us the party, and now we have to simply just count it. Well, first we need to select and return like kind of like the party, and now we do a simple loop for I as integer. We'll start from 0 to, and we are using the query, so and all the information from it, so we are doing query dot count -1. So we are looping through all the information from the query, and now we'll do a simple if statements. If the query of the element I equals capital D, that's for Democrats, then well, we don't have a, we need to declare some variables. Let's just do them here. Dim I don't know, dem count as integer, dim rep count as integer, and dim independent count as integer. So these will hold the count for each party. Alright, so these are our variables. So now we can do those if statements. So if we are encountering a D, which means it's a Democrat, so we do Democrat count plus equals 1. Else if the query with the index of I equals R, then it's a Republican, so rep count plus equals 1. And since there's only 3 options, we can do just else. If neither of those 2 is true, then it's an independent, and we'll add an independent to it. So again, remember, we are splitting the string, but we are only getting the last portion of it, which is the party affiliation. So, and this is the query we are checking in our if statement. We are looping through each line in that query, and then we check what each line has, because it will only have D, R, or I for independent. Okay, so this will give us the count. So that's number 2. Number 3, write a program that determines the number of states whose 2 senators have the same party affiliation. Now, so for example, the first 2 you can see they're from Alabama. They both are R. In other words, they are both Democrats. Now Alaska has a Democrat, I mean Republican, and a Democrat. Arizona, well, it only has 1. Oh, they're not in order, I think. Yeah, there's a Connecticut, Delaware. Yeah, we have to first actually order them. A lot of them are in order, but not all of them. They don't seem like New Mexico is not in order. Rhode Island, Rhode Island actually is, but you know, you get the point. Not all of them are, even though it seems at first glance that they are ordered by state, they're not. So the first thing we need to do, we need to order them, because remember, there's only 2 senators for each state. So once we have them ordered, we can loop through them step by step in twos to determine how many senators for each state, or if there are 2 senators of the same party for the given state. So let me just comment this out quickly. Determine the number of states whose 2 senators are from the same party. Now, like I said, the first thing we're gonna do, we have to split, you know, again the string to get the affiliation and the state, and then we need to order them. So let's do a query, this time query 2, and from senator in, and we are again using the Senate, the final Senate, the 113 senates, which is the what did I name that again? I forgot. New Senate. All right, in new Senate, and we capture the state and the party. So we'll let state as string equal, and again we are using the split, senator dot split, splitting by comma, and this time the state is the index 1. Again, if you see, the 0 index is the name, 1 is state, and then there's the party affiliation. So we get the party as string equals senator dot split, and this one will be number 2. This is the second index. We are order them. Let's order them by state. Doesn't really matter, but let's do it ascending, and we will select the party. Okay, so this will return the query ordered query of state and party ordered by state in ascending order. So now let's assume that the first 4 lines are actually already ordered. So we will be able to see, okay, the line 1 is Alabama, so we know the second line will be Alabama as well. If the third one is Alaska, we'll know the next one is Alaska as well. So that way we can compare those party affiliations, and we can do that simply in a for loop. So we will do for I as integer equals 0 to query 2 count, but this time it's going to be step 2. In other words, we will be stepping over 2 lines at a time, because 2 lines are one state, which actually means that over here we need to do query count -2, otherwise we would get out of bounds with the last record. If we do it only -1, and we would try to step over 2 lines, we can, because we would only have before the end we would only have 1 line available. So we have to step 2 lines, and the count is -2. And if our query 2, the index of I, equals the query 2 of the index of I plus 1, which is the next line, in other words line 1, if you look at this would be the I, and this would be the I plus 1. So if these are the same, means that it's the same state. Then we know that the num states, actually I need to probably again create a variable. I'll just call it num states with same party. It's a long variable as integer. But anyway, now we can add 1 to it. In other words, if the first and second line are the same of the party affiliation, if this is R and this is R, then we have one state with 2 of the same party affiliation senators. Then we go over here. The first line is R, the other one is D, so we don't count that. That does, because they're not the same party affiliation, and we will loop through all of them, all of the records. That's why we have step 2 in it, because after we check these 2 lines, we'll move to these 2 lines. Okay, so that's the count. You know what? Now that the 3 and 4, I mean 2 and 3, we have the overall party affiliation count and the states, and we can display them now. I would say maybe just a message box. So we can do a message box and do something like Democrats and the Democrat count to string, and we will add a new line to it. So we move to a new line in the message box. I'll format it this way so it stays on the same line, so it's better visible, readable. Oops, I moved too far. Over here we'll do Republicans, and it's the same thing, except this one will be Republican count, that to string, and new line. Actually, over here I need an end, because we still have a thread line, which is the independent. So independent, and this will be the count of the independent. So int count to string, and we do another line actually where we will put the number of states whose senators have the same party affiliation. Okay, so let's just spell it out. Number of states whose senators have the same party affiliation, and we will add the what we just calculated over here, number of states with same party. So that's the number states converted to string. Alright, so that's our message box. If I run it now, it should create the 113th Senate file, and it's right here. And here is the message box. So there are 56 Democrats, 42 Republicans, 2 independent, and number of states with the same whose senators have the same party affiliation is 35. The rest of the states have mixed senators, one from Republican, one from Democrats or independent. Okay, so now we can do the point 4, which is the to display the states in one list box, and when clicked, display the senators in the other list box. Alright, so let's do that. First, let me load the list of states in the list box. Alright, so that's a simple query. This time, let's say query 3. From state in, and we are still using the final or the new Senate file or new Senate query. In so in new Senate, we will let states as string equal to split up as the state dot split. It's the same thing like before. We're splitting it in the comma, and the state is an index of 1. If you look at it again, name, state, and party affiliation. So this is the index of 1. We will order. We don't have to, but we can order them by states. Yeah, by states, because like that, and we will select states. We will select all the states, but only remember each of them is there twice. Again, Alabama, Alabama. We only need 1 for this for the column with the states. So we will do distinct at the end. So that will only select distinct values. And we can now go to our list box, which I called lst state dot of course data source, and the data source is our query number 3, and convert it to list. Alright, so if I run it now, it should pop up the message with the senators, how many there are, and when I click OK, here we are in a form with all the states ordered alphabetically, and there's Wyoming last, Alabama first. So now when I click any of these states, I want the senators to appear in the other list box. So in order to do that, we need an event when we click or when we change the selected index of the list with the states. So I will declare a variable selected state, which will be the whatever is being selected. So that's the lst states.txt, and now I will display senators from the selected state. Alright, so another query, Since this is a different event handler, I can just name it query. This query 3, 2, and this query over here do not have any effect or are not accessible from this event handler. So from I'll just call it data, and now I'll have to read the file, and the file I'm reading is the Senet113.txt. That's the new file that we just created. Every time you run this app, the file is being created, and if it already exists, it just is overridden. So by the time the form is displayed, the file is already created, so it's already there, and the states are already loaded. So I'm going to read the file, and I will declare some variables. One would be senator, a string, and once again we are going to do some splitting. But before we do, we need to do, I believe, well, let me see if that works. Split in a comma, and that's going to be the name is index 0. Yeah, it doesn't do that because it reads the whole line. I have to convert it to string before I split it like that. So it's data dot to string dot split. Let state as string equals data dot to string to what am I doing? To string split, and the state is index 1. Now I need the state because I need to compare the states, the one that is being clicked in this text box, and match it with the one from the file. So we are going to only select the ones where state equals selected state being the one that we select from the list box. And we will return or select our senator, which is the name of the senator. And now I can do the list box senators dot data source equals to our query to list, and that should be really all. Let me run that again. So in the background it created a file, it did all the calculations from the file, Democrats and all that, and now we have a form with the states. This is already selected, so it displays the 2 senators from Alabama. In fact, we can check that. It should be Jeff Sessions and Richard Shelby. So Jeff Sessions and Richard Shelby. All right. About Alaska, Lisa and Mark. Someone. Arizona. Well, Arizona. This this is not in order. So this one's John McCain is there. How about Arkansas? Let's do Arkansas. John Boozman, Mark Pryor. That seems to be working fine. Let's go down here so we can check, for example, Massachusetts. Where's my Massachusetts? Over here. Okay, so Massachusetts, William Cowan, Elizabeth Warren. All right, so yeah, that seems to be working. Every time I click the state, it's 2 senators are displayed over there. So that takes care of the number 4, and that is actually the whole project. So again, we did some queries to read the files, all 3 files. Then we created one final file that removed the retired senators and added the new senators to it. And we created the file, actually an actual text file called Senet113. Then we calculated the party affiliation, how many there were, the Democrats, Republicans, and all that, independent, and which is right here. Then we looped, we did the query to return all the parties, the R, D, or I, and then we looped through all them and we did an if statement to check which one, whether the line contained D, R, or I, and then we added to the running total for each Democrats, Republican count, or independent count. After that, we determined the number of states whose two senators are from the same party. In order to do that, we queried from our 113 Senate, but we didn't use the file itself. We just used the last query because it was just easier. We could use the file, like I said before, but we split each line into a state and a party, and we ordered them ascending. In other words, we had Alabama, Alabama, Alaska, Alaska, Arkansas, Arkansas, and so forth. Then we simply looped through each of those. We did step 2 because we didn't need to count line by line. We have to count every 2 lines because they were again in order. So the first 2 lines were the same, the second 2 lines were the same, the third 2 lines were the same, and so forth. So we queried and compared if the first line and the second line had the same party, and if they did, we added 1 to it. Then we simply did the message box that displayed the number of Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and the number of states with the same party affiliation senators. Then we created a query that kind of extracted all the states from the file, just the states, and we populated our list box with the states, only 1 state at a time, because that's why we use the distinct keyword here. And then we simply queried through our newly created file. We created state, senator, and a state variable by splitting each line, and then we compared whether the state from the line, from the file, equals or is the same as the one that is being selected or clicked on in the list box, and if it is, it returned the senator. Basically, it returned 2 senators because there's 2 for each state, and then we displayed those senators in the other list box. So this is the exercise. I hope it was helpful. Again, if you liked it, please like the video. I always appreciate that. If you not subscribed, please do so. I post videos as often as I can, all kinds of exercises, Visual Basic, C#, Java, C++. So subscribe, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care.